I'm not Lawrence Fishburne, and I was not in a commercial, and I'm not that other black guy who's in that commercial, or I'm not the black guy who's in this other commercial.
When he was sending me Django, he actually didn't want to tell me that I wasn't going to be Django.
If your ego is not too precious, then all I'm doing is making your movie better.
At 76 years old, Samuel L. Jackson has had enough. He's officially done playing Hollywood's fake little games. After decades of dealing with backstabbing co-stars, phony handshakes, and shady politics behind the cameras, he just dropped a bombshell, naming 5 actors he flat out can't stand.
I can conjugate, and a lot of people can. So I don't need you to write black vernacular for me. I can say what you want said, but you need to say it this way.
Always knew something was off. The tense stares, the slick side comments, the shade that never quite went unnoticed. But this time, the gloves are off. Samuel isn't just hinting anymore, he's torching bridges. And wait until you hear the names. Hollywood's about to choke. On this one,
I grew up in the segregated South. When folks start talking about, how you feel about it? Heard it all my life. Okay, now what? Do you think he has a right to? He's a writer. He has a right to write anything he wants to write. I don't censor people.
Let's set the record straight. Samuel L. Jackson isn't just another star. He's one of the biggest forces the industry has ever seen. Over 50 years in the game, his movies have pulled in more than $27 billion worldwide. And still, he refuses to bow down to anybody. That sharp voice, those no-nonsense icy, can sniff out Hollywood fakery in a second.
He gonna stay in the big house? Steve, he's a slaver.
And at this stage in his life, he's done keeping quiet. Forget the Marvel checks and the purple lightsaber moments. We're talking about the Samuel L. Jackson Hollywood doesn't want you to see. The one who tore up the rule book, made his own path, and never let the industry control him. Think you know Sam? Think again. This is the man who turned down Steven Spielberg not once, but twice. He made George Lucas rewrite Star Wars just to fit his vision. And when Marvel tried to lowball him, he told them straight up, doubled the paycheck or Nick Fury was gone. But now, let's talk about his list, the 5 actors who made his can't stand club. And topping that list, none other than Spike Lee. Yeah, you heard that right. Samuel L. Jackson versus Spike Lee. The feud insiders whispered about for years, but nobody dared to expose until now. It wasn't some small argument either. This wasn't about creative differences or egos bumping on set. No, this was betrayal, pride, and power. Once upon a time, Samuel and Spike were seen as the dream team of black cinema 2 giants, shaping the culture together. But somewhere along the way, things turned ugly. Icy stares, harsh words, and a cold war that lasted decades.
How long have you guys known each other? Wow, since 80. Wow, I was doing Soldier's Play when I met Spike, so maybe 84, 5.
Hollywood insiders tried to downplay it, but the truth always creeps out. And now Samuel just confirmed it's Spike Lee is enemy number 1. Back in the late 1980s, Spike Lee wasn't just another filmmaker. He was a one-man cultural revolution, shaking up Hollywood. And right there in the middle of that wave was a hungry, rising actor named Samuel L. Jackson. Spike was the one who cracked the door open for Sam, giving him early breaks, first in School Daze, 1988. Then locking him in with the unforgettable radio DJ, Mr. Sunner, Love Daddy, in Do the Right. Thing 1989, the partnership didn't stop there. They linked up again in Mo Better Blues and Jungle Fever. And that's where Jackson blew everyone's minds. His role as Gator, the crack-addicted brother, wasn't just powerful, it was hauntingly real. The Cannes Film Festival was so shaken, they literally created an award just for him. Think about that. Jackson's performance was so raw, so unforgettable, Cannes broke its own rules and handed him a Best Supporting Actor trophy. They never even planned to give, and they've never done it again since. That's the level Sam was operating on. Fans saw the chemistry and thought it was destiny. Spike and Sam were supposed to be the next legendary duo, the Scorsese and De Niro of black cinema, but louder, edgier, and unapologetically bold.
First of all, Spike, so glad you're sitting down. After 18 consecutive home losses, the Knicks won tonight. I repeat, the Knicks won tonight.
But the dream team didn't last. By 1992, things flipped upside down. Spike was gearing up for his magnum opus Malcolm X, the civil rights epic that would define his career. Naturally, he wanted Jackson on board. He offered him the role of Baines, the man who introduces Malcolm to Islam in prison. It was a pivotal character, a role with weight. Jackson auditioned. He nailed it. The part was his. But then radio silence.
Samuel L. Jackson, where are you? 152 movie titles, 27 billion in box office, more than any other actor.
Instead of excitement, Spike got the news from Sam's agent. Jackson was walking away. Why? Because Spike had offered him scale plus 10, the lowest salary the Screen Actors Guild even allowed. Basically, the minimum wage for actors for a rising star who had just lit up Cannes. It felt like an insult. And Spike, he didn't just take it as business, he took it personal. This wasn't about money to him, it was about respect, loyalty, and friendship. Spike later admitted, what bothered me was not that he didn't want to do the film, but that he had his agent call me. That one move cracked the bond wide open, and the fallout was brutal. Spike thought they had a bond that went deeper than business. To him, it wasn't just about contracts, it was about respect. He expected Samuel L. Jackson to call him man-to-man, not send an agent to do the talking. But for Jackson, that so-called relationship felt more like an expectation of blind loyalty and Sam wasn't about to play that game years later. When Jackson finally opened up about the fallout, he didn't sugarcoat a thing. It wasn't the most pleasant conversation, he admitted. Spike said what he had to say, and Sam, he just laughed it off. But what really ticked him off was the tone like Spike expected him to bow down and show eternal gratitude just because. He gave him early roles. Jackson made it crystal clear Spike didn't make him. They built each other up. And if anything, Spike should have acknowledged how much Jackson's energy and talent elevated those films.
Samuel, apparently you have recently lost your title as the highest grossing actor of all time.
Yeah, I've been displaced.
Yeah.
By
Harrison Ford, again. I displaced him, he displaced me, but hey, it's only 70 mil.
Then Jackson went even harder. He called out the money situation, exposing what was really going on behind the scenes. Spike was pulling for checks on Malcolm X director, writer, producer, and actor. Meanwhile, the cast he needed to bring his vision to life. He wanted them to work for peanuts. Jackson's response was savage. You want to pay me scale while you're collecting for salaries? Nah. In fact, let me play your role and make some real money while I'm at it. That blunt honesty didn't sit well at all. And Sam wasn't done. He made one thing clear. He had earned his place. If Spike couldn't pay him fairly or even offer some back-end profit participation, then why stick around? He wasn't some struggling stage actor desperate for a break anymore. Hollywood was calling, and Jackson wasn't about to miss his shot. The timing couldn't have been wilder. Right as the Malcolm X drama was blowing up, Jackson got the call of a lifetime. His agent told him, "You just won an award at Cannes for..." What? Jungle Fever. They literally created a category. Just for him, that was the sign. He didn't need Spike anymore. So instead of joining Spike's historical epic, Jackson took a role in White Sands alongside Willem Dafoe and Mickey Rourke. It was bold, it was risky, but it split their careers in two completely different directions. What followed 22 years of pure silence. No roles together, no public shoutouts, no collaborations. Jackson was everywhere working with Tarantino, Scorsese, and Marvel, while Spike was nowhere in his orbit. And when Spike came for Tarantino, criticizing his use of the N-word in Django Unchained, Jackson didn't just defend Quentin, he clapped back at Spike. When Samuel L. Jackson snapped with, "It's just," another way of saying Spike needs to shut the F*** up. Asterisk, the quote, spread through Hollywood like wildfire. The tension wasn't hidden anymore. It was loud, raw, and undeniable. What had once been whispered behind closed doors became an open secret in the industry. Some insiders blamed Spike's ego. Others pointed fingers at Jackson's refusal to play the game. But at its core, the beef boiled down to one thing: control. Spike demanded loyalty. Jackson demanded freedom, and neither man was willing to bend. Thought the irony. Jackson has often admitted that Jungle Fever, the same film that gave Cannes its shockwave moment, literally saved his life. Right before filming, he had just come out of rehab. He was detoxing, still shaky, barely functional, but he showed up anyway. The performance was so raw, so convincing, people thought he was actually high on set. Jackson even said, "I didn't need makeup. I was Gator." It got so real that the Fruit of Islam who were present on set tried to physically remove him because they thought a random addict had wandered into the production. That role didn't. Jasmic's career writ resurrected him, and that's why the later fallout cut so deep. The very man who gave him that chance was now trying to box him in, pay him scraps, and expect him to bow in gratitude. For Jackson, it wasn't just business, it was betrayal. Then, out of nowhere, 20-plus years later, the ice finally cracked. In 2013, Jackson and Spike quietly reunited, not on a stage, not in front of cameras, but at the dinner table. Their wives had reconnected, and through them, the two men started sitting down together again. Slowly, the walls started to crumble.
We had not worked together since Jungle Fever, so it was a wonderful reunion.
That's when Spike mentioned he was remaking Old Boy. Jackson jumped at the opportunity. "Can I be in it?" And just like that, after more than 2 decades apart, they were back on a set together. Jackson later admitted it felt easy, natural, like the old spark had never completely died. "He doesn't get in my way artistically. Whatever I come with, and it's cool," Jackson told Playboy. But let's be real, some polite dinners and one underwhelming movie don't erase decades of silence, bitterness, and betrayal. The scars were still there, and everyone in Hollywood knew it. So when did Samuel L. Jackson finally decide to let the world know who he couldn't stand? It all came out when he dropped his list of the 5 actors he straight up hates the most. And this wasn't some petty Hollywood gossip. Sam said it was about clearing the air once and for all. No more whispers, no more fake smiles, and make no mistakes, Spike Lee sat at number 1 on that list. Because at the end of the day, no matter how many awards they collected or how historic their early work was, this feud was never really about the art. It was about Respect-Hand, who refused to give it. But Spike wasn't the only one in the crosshairs. On paper, Quentin Tarantino and Samuel L. Jackson should have been Hollywood soulmates. 6 collaborations, decades of loyalty, and some of the most iconic scenes in movie history. They defined an era together. The explosive sermons of Jules in Pulp Fiction. The ice-cold menace of Steven in Django Unchained. Those weren't just performances. They were cultural earthquakes.
He has enough problem being vilified himself as a racist because he uses in his scripts that much, or puts those kinds of words in a character's mouth.